now, which was rarely, if ever, used. I've been here 25 years. I've seen it used once. It really now has purpose and function, which is a nice thing to have. And also we have clear line of sight to the sanctuary and to the pulpit area from up there, which helps with the timing of things. But we're happy to talk to you. I'm helping with the barbecue, which is on, even though we won't be in the amphitheater. But I hope everybody comes out. There's plenty to eat and to drink and some camaraderie. And you'll have plenty of time to take a look at the designs and provide your insights. Thank you.
Thanks, Janine. Thank you all for being here today. Let our service now begin.
We practiced this. All right, ready? Yep.
Good morning!
There we go. There we go. I know you have these with you. There we go.
Today is a party, which is to say we are here to revel in some of the great gifts of life.
We are here to celebrate the diversity of love among us. After all, love is love, regardless of your gender or sexual orientation.
We are here amidst an abundance of flowers, a bountiful bouquet symbolic of the beauty we create when we come together.
So lift up your ribbons, wave them, whenever you are so moved, to the whole service. Express your joy, your gratitude, your gifts of love and life that sustain us all. Yay. Hooray.
I now invite you to rise in body or in spirit as we light our chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism and of the gift of light and life within all of us. And our First Church Boston affirmation is printed in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church,
and service its law. This is our great covenant,
to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And please take a moment to greet one another, waving at the camera by the clock to those folks online. I invite you to remain standing as we sing our opening hymn, number 170, in your gray hymnal. We're only going to sing 3 verses, 1, 3, and 5. So your odds, because why not? Please be seated. I know he's a very good storyteller, and we're gonna read a book. But it's a really good book, and Hank will tell a different kind of story today in a reflection. Today, the book is "'Twas the Night Before Pride," written by Joanna McClintock and Joanna Medina. Let's go closer, then give people a chance. Sorry, Craig, we're moving on the camera here. Okay, so you can hopefully see some of the pictures. And we'll have these out front afterwards. Okay. "'Twas the night before Pride, a warm evening in June. All the people got ready with the rise of the moon.
The drag queens all brushed their wigs with great care, and the bikers checked their tires to make sure they had air. All across the city, people's outfits were planned, and instruments were polished for the queer marching band.
My mom told us all we should go to bed early. She's that kind of mom who's more boyish than girly. When Mama finished packing our snacks in a bag, Sammy started chewing on the edge of the flag.
As I finished my sign, which I laid on the floor, I remembered the prides that I'd been to before. All day we will walk in the streets up and down. Pride's one of the best celebrations around.
There are floats and loud music and rainbows and glitter. Last year we ran into our babysitter. Tomorrow will be baby Sammy's first Pride. Can we tell the whole story? I hopefully cried. So we sat on the couch, a mom on each side, and took turns telling the tale of the very first Pride.
A long time ago, in 1969, there wasn't a Pride March. It was a less fair time. Queer people all over of each shape and size didn't have any rights recognized. So much of their lives they had to keep hidden. Even their clothes were sometimes forbidden. Stonewall was a place where it was safe to be proud, but police would storm in to say that wasn't allowed.
So one hot night in June, people stopped being quiet. They decided to fight and started a riot. More and more gathered to fight back in the heat. Some started a kick line in the middle of the street.
The police broke up the crowd night after night, but people stood strong knowing this wasn't right. And so it began a march that spread worldwide to show everyone it's good to have pride.
It sometimes happens we're not given respect. It can take a long time for some to accept. That's why every year we all get together and march in the streets, no matter the weather.
To know that we matter, to show we all exist, that any oppression we must all resist.
So pride's not just about tutus and rainbow suspenders. It's about rights for queers and all of our beautiful genders. Pride's a day that is crowded. It's a day that is long. It's a day that means together we are strong. As I closed my eyes, I thought of Pride's past. Pride means to me, being yourself is a blast.
So tomorrow I will march with my family and cheer. Happy Pride to all. It's great, my whole family is here.
Happy Pride.
I hope we don't feel bad about the rainbow suspenders line in the book. Hope that's... It was the night before same-sex marriage became legal in Massachusetts, in our state, in our country, in North America. And I was home And I was nervous, for I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was waiting for I was sure that Governor Mitt Romney was going to pull some last-minute event that would delay the implementation of same-sex marriage that was supposed to happen at midnight. So I was sitting at home in my living room with the 10 o'clock news on. And if you can remember, 20 years ago, there was only one channel that had a 10 o'clock news. It was the Fox. It was channel 25. And when the news came on, I saw a Fox news reporter on the screen. She was reporting from in front of Cambridge City Hall. Her report was very serious. And she spoke about there being protesters there and a few supporters as well. And she had a very grim and determined look on her face. And then something happened. Something funny happened. A bubble, like you have when you're a little kid, a bubble went floating by in front of her. And then there were some more floating by in front of her as she gave her very serious report. And then I saw behind her that on the little burn of a hill there at Cambridge City Hall, little children were running around back and forth. And at that moment, I realized that there were no protests there at Cambridge City Hall. There was a party. And if any of you had any doubts, I'm going to tell you right now, I love a good party. So I jumped in my car, and I headed down to Cambridge City Hall. Because at Cambridge City Hall, they had announced that at midnight that night, they were going to start issuing marriage licenses. And it was a party. The streets kept filling and filling with more and more folks. There was one protester, I have to admit, there was one protester, but the police urged them to move along for their own safety. And there were thousands and thousands of other people there, and I thought, it's like a wedding. We need rice. I didn't bring any rice with me, and I looked around, and there was a 7-Eleven across the street, and so I ran over there, and I remember just the look on the faces of those two young men who, no doubt, on that Sunday night thought, like, Sunday night, 7-Eleven, we stock the shelves. No one comes in. Well, this 7-Eleven was packed. They didn't have any rice. They had some minute rice. So I bought all the minute rice I could find. And I went out to the streets and I handed it out to people. And I have to admit, I'd never had any interaction with minute rice before. But pretty much as soon as you get it wet, it starts to cook. So, everyone was very happy. And I started pouring it into people's hands and said, at midnight, we'll throw it up in the air. But it became clumps. But still, it was a joyous, those were joyous clumps of rice. The next 24 hours were a complete blur. Members of the church in Medford, where I had served, where I was serving at the time, we all got up early. We went down to Medford City Hall to hand out wedding favors to couples who went there to get their marriage licenses. We realized that in many ways it was easy to go into Boston or Provincetown or Cambridge to get your marriage license, but if you were willing and happy to go get your marriage license in a small city like Medford, you should be celebrated too. So we were there with wedding favors and balloons. It was a great morning. And then I got a phone call from a couple who said, we got our marriage license and we got a dispensation and we want to get married this afternoon on Boston City Hall Plaza. Can you be there? And so I drove down to Boston City Hall Plaza, and I went down there, and there was press from all over the world. And later on, the couple showed me pictures of us, photos of us that appeared in newspapers and online, and it was amazing because they were written in languages that we had no idea what they were saying, but we were just so happy to be part of that. And I thought of my first semester at seminary at Meadville Lombard Theological School in Chicago, one of our Unitarian Universalist seminaries. And the Reverend Tony Larson, who was there teaching one of the classes, Tony had been the minister in Racine, Wisconsin, and was openly gay. And he asked all of us, he said, all of you who are heterosexual in this class, when you get a chance, talk about gay rights. This was 30 years ago. And the thought of same-sex marriage becoming a thing seemed like just an impossible wish. And he asked all of us who were heterosexual to speak out and speak up for same-sex marriage, for gay rights. Because gay rights are more than just marriage rights. They are human rights. And I thought of him that morning, and later on I was able to send him photos and notes saying that I thought of him. And I thought of all of the protests that I'd been a part of leading up to that day, that night in Cambridge. The angry letters in the newspapers and my measured responses, the threatening phone calls that I would get at church and my less than measured responses. We have been called, one of the many things that we as Unitarian Universalists are called are to speak out and to speak up with our religious values in mind. Speaking out for what is at the center of our faith. The late Reverend William Sloane Coffin wrote that there are two great biblical mandates, and they are not about preserving the sanctity of life and stamping out sin, but they are about the pursuit of justice and finding peace. So when you think about your faith, not just Pride weekend, but every day, think about what is at the center of your faith. Is it justice and peace? Is it something else? There are many things that our faith calls us to speak out about. This world has so many things and needs our voice to speak out. Violence, the rights of minorities, whether they are racial or sexual or gender. Let me end with an image that this is one of my strongest memories of that night in Cambridge. You know, there were thousands of people out there, and there were also hundreds of police officers, all in riot gear. But everybody who came out was just celebrating. So, and there was a long line of couples heading into Cambridge City Hall to get their marriage licenses. And the police, once they realized that there wasn't going to be a riot, that they said, all right, well, we're going to stand on the steps and we're going to keep the crowds back. And so they did that. So these police officers in their helmets and their shields are standing there, and an elderly couple, two men in their 80s, were walking inside to get their marriage license. And they're going up the steps very slowly. And at one point, one of them stumbles. And all of a sudden, one of the police officers there in his helmet reached out and steadied him and helped them both up those stairs. The police were ready for a demonstration, but it ended up being a party. And that should remind us that at the center of our faith is love.
Most days I wake up with a pit in my chest. There are thoughts that I can't put to rest. There's a worry that I can't place. Most nights I am restless and quiet won't come. So I lay there and wait for the sun. There's a trouble that won't show its face. You came out of nowhere and you cut through all the noise. I make sense of madness when I listen to your voice. Darling, only you can ease my mind. Help me leave these lonely thoughts behind. 'Cause when they pull me under and I could feel my sanity start to unwind, darling, only you can ease my mind. I'll admit, for a moment I felt so afraid, just to show you the mess that I made. There are pieces I usually hide, but when you collect me with your steady hands, with a language that I understand, I feel it glued back together inside. You came out of nowhere and you cut through all the noise. I make sense of madness when I listen to your voice. Oh, darling, only you can ease my mind. Oh, me leave these lonely thoughts behind. 'Cause when they pull me under and I can feel my sanity start to unwind, darling, only you can ease my mind. Darling, only you can ease my mind. Help me leave these only thoughts behind. 'Cause when they pull me under and I could feel my sanity start to unwind, darling, only you can ease my mind. Ooh.
Alex, we are going to miss you. Thank you for sharing that song, both of you. The title for our reflections today comes from a verse in our closing hymn, De Colores, a Spanish language folk song. Literally translated as "of colors," the lyrics and tune celebrate the colorful diversity of springtime flowers, as well as of people, each now taking their place in the sun. I love this line for its affirmation not only of diversity, but also for its sense of pride. The colors are gleaming in the sunlight, reflecting back the light like diamonds, each flower dancing in the sunlight. Life on earth would not exist without the heat and light of the sun. We are all dependent upon light and water, carbon and oxygen for the miracle of being alive. And yet, how easy it can be to forget how remarkable it is that we simply live. The mundane tasks and stressors of our days can consume our attention. We drift into routines, even ruts, that may bring some ease, but also risk removing the wonder of being alive. Sometimes we need to be reminded of the wow of life. By design, I'm going to get some water. One second. The downside of going without a pulpit. My water's not right there. So by design, flowers are intended to grab attention. In the plant world, the bold colors are very much a call to say, hey, look at me, and an effort to attract pollinators. Swooning in, the pollinators do their work, enabling a process by which flowers become fruit, seeds, and a vehicle for life to continue. In this way, each flower gleaming in the sun is a bold expression of life seeking to renew itself. To declare that each flower has a place in the sun is to affirm the life of each flower. Each flower has a place to thrive, to boldly express its own unique, attractive presentation. What a wonderful metaphor for human life as well. We each bring our own colorful expression to the world. How amazing it is that any of us are alive, and that each of us who live are different from one another. Every time we encounter another person, we come face to face with a dazzling depth of story. As Walt Whitman suggested, each person contains multitudes. Now, in an era of information overload, reflecting on the multitude in each of us might feel like yet another sea of knowledge we can never fully grasp. But perhaps instead of feeling paralyzed by the vastness of difference and diversity among us, perhaps we might instead allow it to foster a sense of joyful humility. Humility arises from the recognition that we can never fully understand all that another has experienced. And sometimes I'm pretty sure I can't quite figure myself out either, right? And so it is good to remain curious in the face of all we do not know. It is good to resist the pull of certainty, of a prejudicial bias that we know already. Mindful of how vast human experience is, we can let go of the expectation that we're going to know it all. We can instead adopt a posture of humble curiosity as we encounter and learn more and more about people past and present. Still, this can be hard. People can be weird, difficult, and mysterious. There is a lot of human difference, which can be overwhelming. And when we think of this diversity as a field of flowers with each seeking their place in the sun, perhaps we can also see the beauty and the joy. Living in a colorful world of multiple hues, sizes, shapes, textures, and more certainly makes life far more interesting. Embracing the beauty of difference and diversity also invites each of us to more fully love the multitudes within ourselves. There is joy in such inclusive love for ourselves and others. We are a church and a tradition that asks us to celebrate the beauty of difference. And we are a church and tradition that challenges us to remain humble and curious as we deepen our understanding of people past and present. I am not going to pretend that it's always easy, because sometimes it's really hard to connect across difference. Still, there is real joy to be found in embracing a love that gives us each a place in the sun. May we individually and together strive for a joyful humility that loves abundantly across difference. So may it be. Amen. I invite you now to take a deep breath in and out, and another in and out. And this is a prayer adapted from Flower Sunday 1969, written by William B. Rice. On a day such as this, may a great change come upon us. The sounds we have been hearing have been discordant. The sights we have been seeing have been violent. The words we have been reading have been hateful. All this has been wearying, discouraging, and distracting. In our hearts, we had a dream of love, and in our minds, we had a pattern of community. But this has been a sorry season of discontent, most difficult for visions. Today is a new day, truly an hour for hope and joy and gladness. Let us be thankful for the persistence of flowers and open ourselves to their long wisdom. Often they grow in spite of terrible winters and miserable summers. Strange beauty greets us in unexpected places, as if there is a particular grace that is stronger than our carelessness and indifference. But when we tend our gardens with love and care, the reward can be greater than the effort. It is most wise to combine flowers and children in a day of celebration, for flowers and children ever speak to us of wonders and glories yet to be, of hopes fulfilled if we tend our gardens and our homes with patience and wisdom and love. Let us be silent now together. Amen. This is a moment in our service for our offering, and it is a ritual of gratitude where we are all invited to give to support the work and life of this congregation. And if you're online, you can go to the website and donate there. It's a chance for me every week, I think of it as, to say thank you, because I know there's a lot of ways people contribute financially, not just on Sundays, but throughout the year through their pledges. We grow a church through these efforts, so thank you.
Norbert Čapek, who founded the Unitarian Church, first in the city of Prague and then over the entire nation of Czechoslovakia, created the Flower Communion in June of 1923. For some time, he had felt the need for a symbolic ritual that would bind people more closely together. A format had to be one that would not alienate any who had forsaken other religious traditions. So he turned to the native beauty of the countryside for elements of a communion that would that would be genuine to them. And this simple service is a result. And it was such a success that first year that they continued to hold it every year since, just before the summer recess of the church. Everyone participated in this colorful ritual, which gives concrete expression to the humanity-affirming principles of our liberal religious faith. The Reverend Waitstill and Martha Sharp of Wellesley were sent to Prague on behalf of the newly established Unitarian Service Committee, the predecessor of our present Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. They were sent there to coordinate humanitarian efforts and offer aid to European refugees during the Second World War. It was there where the Sharps met Norbert and his wife, Maya Chapek. They invited her to come to the United States to do a tour to help raise funds for this new service committee. And it was on that tour in 1940 that Maya first introduced the flower communion at the First Parish Unitarian Church in Harvard Square. Unfortunately, Maya was not able to return back to Czechoslovakia until after the war. While she was away, the Nazis took control of Prague in 1940. And they found Dr. Čapek's gospel of the inherent worth and beauty of every human person to be, as a Nazi court record shows, too dangerous to the Reich for him to be allowed to live. Dr. Čapek was sent to the Dachau concentration camp and died the next year. A gentle man who suffered a cruel death. But his message of hope and decency lives on through the flower communion. It is a noble and meaning-filled ritual that we are about to recreate. This service includes some language of Dr. Čapek to help us remember the values and the dreams for which he died and for which we live.
So the way that, I love this service. It's something that when I became a Unitarian Universalist, I heartily embraced. And so, but I do it a little differently than I think we've done in recent years here. And that is, because it is a ceremony of community, I like us to sing and maybe even dance, wave your ribbons as you come forward to get a flower. So the idea is many of you have brought flowers. We had some extras. And so you brought something, just as each of you, by being here, has brought yourself. And then you're going to receive the gift back in the form of a flower. So I invite you to rise in body or in spirit, and we're going to sing together hymn number 368. It's a super simple song. You will not, after a verse, you can just put the hymnal down and keep singing without it as you move, I promise. And we'll just keep it going till everybody's come through and gotten a flower. So I invite you to come down the center aisle, take a flower, and then return to your seats down the side aisle so we don't trip on each other. That's a good plan. So, now let us sing, and we'll start with Faith.
Now
Okay, yes? I worked on a gladiola farm when I was 12, so I like gladiola. Okay. Hold your flowers up. Hi. Now look around at one another and the garden that we have created together. Our blessing comes from the William Sinkford. And the presence of these flowers, these representatives of creation's profound beauty, diverse and unique, but related and interdependent. These flowers come to us as gifts from which we know not where, and which we in turn choose to bring to our shared and common altar as gifts to one another. In their presence, we turn our thoughts to the mystery beyond mysteries, to the most sacred, which we never understand fully, but which we are granted revelatory glimpses of in each of these flowers, in each of your faces, and through your relationships with neighbors near and far. May they remind us of the grace we have known in days past, forgiveness we have been granted and provided, love unearned and shared, recovery begun and established, generosity unforeseen and most sacred. And may they inspire us now and in the days to come to seek, to notice, to embrace, and to recreate beauty, to give unto the world as exuberantly as these flowers. May the meaning and message of flower communion be alive in our hearts, inviting us to be faithful partners in the creation of beloved community and guiding us towards right relationship with all of our neighbors, near and far. Amen. Okay, now we get to sing De Coloris, which was the inspiration, among many other reasons, why we wanted to have rainbow ribbons. I blame Gigi, actually.
We thank
It was Gigi. We thanked Gigi. Gigi and I were talking about this song, and I said, we used to sing this with rainbow ribbons. Like, let's do it. So rainbow ribbons, parting song, De Coloris. Thank you. 305. Let us now battery's dying on this thing. Let us now extinguish our chalice.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Sustained by our connections to each other and to all that is holy, may we love with exuberance, welcome across difference, and work together to build a more just and sustainable world for all.